Hello, everybody. Today, see if I can do it right. There we go. All right. Make sure everything sounds okay since I'm a one-man show. Go ahead and mute yourself. So I have getting a bit of an echo here. So have a bit of a little trade up of things we're going to do differently today. First and foremost, welcome to TikvahMinds show, Tikvah Creative, Tikvah Inc., Tikvah, I don't know, what are we, TikvahComics? Or all sorts of things. We wear many hats. So yeah, welcome to the show. Today I want to first and foremost kind of start off with things. I have basically, so anytime I've been doing my show and that sort of thing, I have a cohort here with me that wants to participate, and I certainly want her to participate and join in the conversation when and where she certainly sees appropriate. She's as best as I can say is just the part of the Tikvah team, Erin, and she will jump in here and there. It's sort of a thing without I don't know Robin's last name, but without Robin, there would be no Howard Stern. So I don't know if there's any equivalent to any of this going on right now, but
I don't know. Hello, everyone.
We'll have to work on the sound thing. We're getting a bit of an echo, but whatever. So one thing is that, yeah, this is going to work, Erin. We got to change something up here. Anyway, one thing is that I wanted to share with you guys as far as the last colony, kind of fill you in where that is and where we are with that. Some news and updates with that. I also wanted to talk to you guys about, I have a few different other things kind of rolling around as far as like kind of what's next. I had a question yesterday as far as like just the overall approach. Where are you headed next? What happens? Is this the whole series? Is it going to be individually broken up and that sort of thing? So I'll review all that sort of stuff with you guys. Then also wanted to talk about just in general as far as like, I don't know, we can dive in the news, bounding into comics and those types of things, or different news things bleeding into comics. I don't know what else is there. There's a few different ones I kind of look at, but in any case, not sure if we want to or not. We live in a wild world, whatever. I just, we go about it the best as we possibly can. And that's about it as far as that goes. So as far as the last colony goes, where are we at with that? Okay. So with that is that I have 1/3 of the posters printed. We are printing those, and that's the campaign poster, by the way. So those are all, that artwork is all finished. I've shown snippets. You can actually, the thumbnail for this actual live stream included that. And you'll find in that when you actually get it in your, if you've helped us with the crowdfund, that sort of thing, you'll actually get it as, it'll come packaged with your comic book and all that sort of stuff. But one cool thing is there's actually a surprise with it. And I've mentioned it earlier and it turned out absolutely great. Really happy with it. But there's a front side and a back side to that poster. So you want to make sure you see both sides of that poster. Don't just like, oh, that's a neat front side of the poster, and you never open it up or flip it over or look at it. I think you'll be happy with the with everything there. So really excited about that. 1/3 of those are printed. I'm printing those in-house on some really nice poster paper. So again, I think you guys will absolutely love that. And we're currently waiting on some ink. And so once that ink shows up, should be next Wednesday. whatever the first is. I don't know what day is the first. It's Wednesday. What day is that?
Oh, I believe it's Wednesday next week.
Okay. So Wednesday next week, we should be able to get the rest of that ink in, and then from there, we'll what we'll do is finish up the rest of those. So then and like I said, I want to show you. My cam, what is it? Something's covering up. My mic is covering up right now, but you can kind of see it right there. That's actually, I've had it kind of hidden. Anyway, really excited. I really wanted to show you. I debated showing you guys today, but you have to wait to get it in the mail. Once you guys get in the mail and all that sort of stuff, then we'll post it up on the website. We'll do several other things on ElijahLoving.com, and then what we'll do is we will end up posting that also on our store, so on and so forth. We'll do all that sort of stuff, which is really cool. Along with the comic book, or that first part of that comic book will be up there too. What else do we have going on? So that's the poster. The other is that I was tracking let me find the email real quick here. I was tracking the latest on the comic book. Let me see if I can quickly find that email, because one of the things with that is that we are there it is, having that shipped to us, and it is currently leaving Phoenix, Arizona. It was in Tampa, Arizona, so I don't know how far away into it's probably a suburb of Phoenix. In any case, so I'm hoping that by next week we should, about the time we're all getting the print of the posters finished, we should get those in. And there's two parts of that. One is then what we'll do from there is then we'll package it and get finished up all the packages, and get all the labels on the boxes and get that all shipped out. The other thing is, which leads into tomorrow, one of the things that I'll do with that is that I will send out an email to all of those that have participated in the crowdfund. You will actually get an email. There's a link with if you've changed your address or need to change your address or that sort of thing. I will show you. I will direct you how to do that. That email will explain those details of how you go about changing your address so you can get it shipped to you, because we want it to ship to you. Once that is done, so that's Friday, tomorrow we'll send out that email. There'll be like a little video or that sort of thing that you guys will be able to take a look at, and they'll show you how to do it. It's real simple. Other things, so that's Friday, that's tomorrow. Next week, I said the posters, we should get the printed. Okay. Also, with the ash can, there'll be a couple of things I want to do special with that. I'm going to be basically doing a snippet, a real small sketch on the personalized sketch for those that got the ash can. You'll get a personalized sketch right on the front cover of that. And it will be of the character that this particular ash can is dedicated to. So I thought that would be really cool. And then on the inside, I'll actually write a little bit of a note as well. Yeah.
What? So this is individualized?
Yeah, dude. That's what we're doing.
Oh, nice. And it's going to be a surprise what character you get.
No, you'll get Jamie. It'll be a Jamie character. So the ash can is all dedicated to Jamie.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So since the whole comic ash can's dedicated to Jamie, there's actually that front cover is a blank front cover, and I'll do a little, what is it? Black felt tip permanent marker drawing on that, on the top of that. Also on the inside, I will also do a real quick little thank you note for participating and helping us make this possible. And then also kind of the whole thing that leads into that is that just a overall, I don't know. Yeah. I get an echo every time. Every time you join in, I'm thinking I can hear my voice, and then I can hear the other side of my voice. And it's like,
you're distracted? Who does that? No. Well, I was going to ask here. I'll go in another room just a sec, but let me ask you this too. Reiterate for them too the materials that you used. to print off, the comic books and all of these sketches. These are all quality, long-term, long-lasting products that you've.
So, yeah.
Because you're kind of an art snob.
I tried not to be.
I think in this situation, it's a good thing to be art snob because you're giving quality product that will really last, truly last. And I just wanted to see if there was any more that you could tell us about that.
I don't know. I don't know, the paper that the poster's on, I don't know. It's all acid free and all this sort of stuff. I think the thing is, and I guess what I was thinking of getting into is that when we're, and that individualize and that, the ash can, all that sort of stuff, which is a small version comic book. That's all that is. And just a thank you note for, just joining in and making this into a reality. I obviously couldn't do it without you guys, for all forms of participation, of you guys out there. And I guess the part of it is that even though we do our best to minimize mistakes and, within the comics and all that sort of thing. And one of the things is that, like, I'm very, I don't know, it's inevitable that through printing and those types of things, and of course, when you're handing off the project to someone else to do the printing, there's things that happen, and certainly you do absolutely your best to minimize those. But one of the ways of doing that is, ensuring the quality is there, the quality of the printing and all those types of things, the type of paper that we used. I'm not quite sure what. I guess the thing of it is that I guess it's important for me that as the illustrator, like, for example, when I go to, or you go to the comic book store, or anyone goes to the comic book store, a lot of the mainstream comics that will get printed, the front cover might be on a nice slick, and it might be like 60 pound, 70 pound paper. And then on the inside, a lot of times it's this real thin newsprint type of paper. Well, we didn't do that. We did like 100-pound paper on the outside and 80-pound on the inside. Eventually, we want it to be a full, nice book and all those types of things. But my point is that with some of these big, printers out there, like your Image, Dark Horse, whatever, Marvel, DC, etc., that are all printing on lower quality stuff, and that certainly helps out on their bottom line, so they bring in more profits. But one of the things that really, like, I guess it's, when you're going to, how do I say this? The comic book industry, and actually one of the articles that I was looking at today, in around this subject, is that we've gotten away from our grassroots as comic book creators. And the grassroots was the fan. It was the fan base who joined in and saw to this industry, coming to life. And that's where, so that happened, of course, in the, the 40s and the 50s and that type of thing. And then there was this commission that took place in Congress that said, well, you can't have all these crazy comments being violent, or, kids are reading these, and okay, fine. And that makes sense, I guess, to a degree. But then out of that, a lot of the comic books became campy and that sort of stuff because of that. But that's just a segment in history of making comics. But even regardless of whatever company you're with, it was still a grassroots from the base effort, and it incorporated those that were consuming it, and most of them certainly were kids and of that nature. And of course, now the industry is made up of 40-something year olds, and it's all about where, I think, again, the mainstream comic book companies out there have gotten away from the base and wanting that quality in the work. And there's always sort of a thing where, like, it's like actually from a comic book creator's perspective, you open up any comic, you're always looking for the mistakes. You're always looking for kind of the peccadillos and those types of things. And one of the neat things about our journey is that we certainly want the quality and pushing for that quality, but that there's this first part, and we'll produce that. and then it'll ultimately get made into a full series. And essentially the full series will be roughly about 5 to 6 parts that will ultimately get made into a full graphic novel. Now, we want to do it in a way where maybe if you want the floppies, and the floppies are kind of your thing, and then you'll have your section of all the floppies. But then we also want to do it where we have all the as a whole graphic novel. So anyway, that's kind of where it's at. And I think so that's one thing that I wanted to say, is that with the comics, when they do come out, I lost my train of thought.
That's fine. You're schooling us. That's good stuff, though. It's good information, good history, good background. But back to the original question, I know you're kind of a snob about paper. I didn't know if that came from your fine arts background or if that's a comic book, because I know you also prefer that the standard of cover art for a comic book to be the same as, you know, what's in the book. I know that's kind of a trick to selling comics. You know, have a great cover, and then if the art's not the same as a kid, you had a tough time with that.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where my style has gone, is that I perhaps spent a little bit more time on the cover or the poster versus the other pages. You could probably argue that. But I tried to certainly keep true to the environment that was showed. Usually what happens for a comic is that you see this amazing Photoshop painted cover that is absolutely amazing, and then you open it up and it's this absolute total opposite type of art. Any case, it's part of that book cover. It's like all those, what are all those those women, those, I say they're women books, but anyone can consume them or whatever. The sexy books.
No comment.
Right. So the sexy books, what do you call these erotic books? There we go.
Are you talking about manga?
Yeah, manga, right. No, you go onto Amazon or whatever, and all these books are like just half-cladded men, and then
romance books. Yeah,
there you go. And then
romance covers.
There you go. And they don't remotely show anything to do with, or it could be just someone's abs and.
Well, yeah, it's like the curse of Fabio on your cover.
Chest he has no chest hair, by the way. Mm-hmm. But it has nothing to do with the book. The book could be about aliens and spaceships, and you're like, what is this? Where's this Fabio?
It's okay. Fabio's in a kilt. That's all you need.
But he's a space alien. So anyway, I guess the point is that having that consistency is important to me. When I go to the comic book store, I look at the cover, I open it up. If it's not the same art, I'm done with it. I'm not even gonna waste my time with the story. But at the same time, certainly the how the cover's made and what it looks like, all those sort of things matter too. So anyway, whatever. Let's see here. The next phase after it's all shipped out, one of the things I will be doing is, I've mentioned this earlier, I'll be doing a little bit of a debrief as far as what worked well, what didn't work well, all those types of things. That's just good business practice as far as that goes. And so we'll be doing that. And there's a couple of really good things that I'm so glad that we did early on, was having a at the first that we did an expense sheet, and it was really generalized. And as we went along in the project, it got further to the detail. But it really did an absolute, I don't think the success of the project would have never happened without that. So in any case, for those that wanting to make comics and do all that sort of stuff, or do crowdfunding, do an expense sheet. You can't say that enough. Do an expense sheet.
Plan ahead, even though you don't know what you're planning for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The next thing is that number 2 that I'm glad we did was just an audit of our overall base size in terms of our reach and what possibilities we could do, and that really helped narrow down with our particular number as far as our goals and those types of things. When we get to doing our full graphic novel of which would include the first printing of part 1 and all the way to part 5 or 6 printing. It's 5 or 6 floppies, along with condensing that into a graphic novel form 2. And I do want to provide both of those as options for those that want to go that route. But what we'll do is that we'll basically go through the same process and we'll kind of debrief and figure out what we need to work on and do better at and improve. But then also at the same time, what we want to do is just really as far as the cost of printing a full graphic novel is going to be a little bit more, but we want to also stick to that price point that we had for this last campaign. So we don't want to deviate too much from that, but we're going to use that a little bit as a base, if that makes sense. The other thing along with that, which is the next step after we kind of debrief and brainstorm what I could do better, what could we improve, all those types of things. Anything that needs to, as far as the artwork needs to be changed or those types of things, this is our George Lucas moment, I guess. It gives us an opportunity to do that and make sure there's continuity with the story first and foremost. So I guess that kind of what makes this first part kind of a unique part of this entire telling of the story, even though we feel really confident in the direction we're going. With that is doing the script. So we have the script written, but it needs a really good, healthy rewrite. This is normal with any script writing. You'll have a TV show and they have, of course, bad examples would be where like they kept telling us with Star Wars, we have a plan, believe us, go see our movies. We have a plan. Trust the plan. There's some president that said this, I'm sure. Trust the plan. Any case, they didn't really, turns out after you go watch the 3 movies, the 3 new Star Wars movies, you have none of the 3 are connected. It's just like, we don't know what we're watching. Feels like a broken record. Anyway, what we want to make sure is that continuity is there. And even though we feel like we've done a really good job, or as far as I've plotting it out and writing it out, as far as the direction and what happens, where you'll still go along with this story and feel like you have a really good idea, and then the rewrite, you're like, oh man, this character's doing this, and it would make much better sense if they did this based upon the choices that you made at the very onset in the beginning. And so this first part really sets that foundation.
Yeah, I would think too that, when you it's good to constantly look at continuity of your script, because so much more can be shown than told. And so once you start seeing the write-ups and everything, it really starts coming together. Like there are a couple of sections of your comic even that we really didn't, you did such a good job illustrating the story. You didn't need to say anything about, the characters there. So yeah, it's not to be overly cliche, but a picture's worth 1,000 words. And so doing a script for comics reminds me of, just trying to do haiku or something. It's so truncated. So yeah, like writing a description in a script is longer than the actual, dialogue, or, even descriptions or descriptors for the pages. So it's a different animal.
Yeah, no, it was nice to see on Monday, when I brought this up on Monday's show, just how when we were going through the edits of this part 2, or excuse me, part 1 of the comic that's coming out now, that we should be getting in the mail soon, to our front door, then of course to you guys' front door out there. It was neat to see how there was obviously a few edits and changes and wordings and those types of things that we needed to make, but also it was neat to see that, oh, this idea really, really does connect well with this idea, that all the stuff we have planned later on down the road, as far as this character will be this type of character, and this character is going to do XYZ to this character, and so on and so forth. So it
And they
was neat
all,
to see those foundations being laid out at that time too. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and all
Cool.
these different characters having different personalities as well, and getting that across.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is that kind of that balance of showing visually, but then with the telling of it. But yeah, we digress. Any other things that you wanted to bring up about the comic? I think that was it. That as far as after the script. Yeah. So after the script is written, then what we'll do is we'll start storyboarding that all out. From the storyboards, that ultimately goes to pencil. As far as time frames go, I don't have any kind of solid numbers for anybody out there at this point in time. To our lovely patrons and supporters of every shapes and sizes and backgrounds and all those types of things. We just don't have that information, sadly, at this moment in time. But as soon as that script gets written, I'm hoping to have that wrapped up within a few weeks' time, and then we'll be able to roll to the next steps and ultimately to the next crowdfunding. But that's down the ways a ways, and it's. I don't know. I guess my point is that between now and then, go support some, go chip in with another artist out there, content creator out there, and there's so many out there. That's why we chip in as far as our. We have a budget of about $30 a month that with the TikvahMinds stuff to pay it forward to some other artist producing another comic book and that sort of thing, and that's how we do this grassroots ecosystem of. They call us Comics Gate. I have no idea what that means. It's someone basically like a gatekeeper. That's where DC and Marvel, if they want to be gatekeepers of their own world and existence, by the way, fine, you can do that. I guess a memo is that people are leaving your platforms anyway. So what?
Well, I think that's the exciting part of this is we're moving out. Sky's the limit. I would say, in this time that you're looking at your timetables and everything, I would suggest and humbly submit that that your viewers, that your patrons keep spreading the word, and maybe even send you a shout out with any comics news groups or anything, or suggest an interview for Elijah Loving. I mean, anything we can do to get the word out, because I think that's the exciting part, is doing this next. It's
not just about me. It's much bigger than
any
that.
comic. Yeah, any comic artist you're excited about, say something.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, let us know who you listen to. Who do you watch? Where do you get your comics news from? Because that is one thing, kind of going out on your own. Being out on your own is creating our networks and really strengthening our connections. So that's a good next step.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it as far as like all the different things I was thinking of with the Last Colony. I can't tell you how excited I am about this, and I can't tell you how excited I am to passing this out to you guys, to the fans,
calm down.
I can't. I want to step off this podium and show you guys right now what I have in store for you guys.
Give them a sneak peek. They dialed in live. Can you see behind him? There's just like a really fast.
I don't know. How do you?
There's hidden treasure. So you'll have fun when you open them at home.
Well, so right now, this is all we have. This is the white backing is actually what you're looking at right here. Screw that back. So also you have the bookmark, 2 little stickers and that sort of thing.
Everything else is top secret.
Well, I think I've shown this to everybody.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I've shown this to
I haven't
everybody.
seen.
I've shown this part. That's all I've shown.
Okay, then don't show any more, but there's more.
There's more, but
Just
you'll
wait.
certainly
There's
when
more.
you
You'll find it.
on there's going to be a front and back of the poster. You need to make sure that you see the front and the back of the poster. Anyway, I'm excited how well it printed out. It looks really cool. I'm really excited about it.
You have high standards. It's worth
One
it.
of the things that it's so awesome is that you, of course, when you're making these comics, they're like your 8.5 by, or is it 8 by 7, 11 by 17. Get my paper pages right, but I'm drawing this at like a 17 by 11 size piece of paper, and one of the things that's when you downsize it and put in your comic book size, all that sort of stuff, is it's kind of awesome just looking at the line work and how the line work just really pops.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool. So anyway, I'm looking at it. Geeky. So we're going to dive into this character. I don't know how much we want to talk about this particular article, but anyway, it goes back to the fact of how, I don't know. I don't know how I necessarily feel about this. It just, first thing, Twitter's just the angry Twitter mob of chaos and ridiculousness and people just throwing out one-liners without rhyme or reason or thought. So that's for first things first. I'm not, and I post these shows and these type of things on Twitter. I don't necessarily focus too much on consuming or digesting. But anyway, as far as like jumping into the fray of like, let's beat up each other. It seems ridiculous to me. I don't really get all that.
You don't want to make it more exciting?
I don't. They certainly don't need me.
Drama.
Creating drama. Yeah, exactly. My point here is that you can read the article here at Bounding into Comics. I think the thing is here is that I can't. I don't know. What do you think? I just take care of your fans, and your fans will take care of you. And this whole thing, and he really gets on this a Comics Gate sort of thing, and that those, and the thing of it is, I think this is an indication that crowdfunding is working. I think it's working, and they're feeling threatened by the lack of, because they've put themselves in their own
echo chamber.
Well, not just echo chamber, but it's like they laid a trap, a big bear trap, and they put it there. And what movie is that? That's like the Fox and the Hound, where the hound, the owner of the hound, ends up putting these traps all over the place, and he ends up trapping himself in his own trap. And then, of course, the story goes where, of course, he gets saved by the fox, and the hound are friends again. Blah blah blah. Right. That's where we should be going. Instead, we're going to be
I was thinking
psychologically murdering each other.
Yeah, can't stop the signal, Mel.
No, absolutely. From Firefly.
Yeah.
What a great show. But I think this is an indication. I don't necessarily want to get into the gossip and those types of things and getting into the infighting. That's not my thing. I don't really care about that. But I do care about is little snippets and not red flags. What's a positive way of saying it? But just the signs of hope, signs of light that the Comics Gate, the people that are actually funding these types of projects, you are truly making an effect. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And I'm not just talking about like the fact of, you need to help Elijah Loving out and other stuff. No. This is bigger than that. It's the fact that you guys are a part of, and I'm saying you guys, me too, as we're helping other comic book creators and crowdfund and source fund some efforts and amazing ideas. And we can certainly continue to get better and improve ourselves and those types of things. But like this Comics Gate sort of a thing where he's directly attacking on Twitter the Comicsgate people and the creators, the content creators, like your Ethan Van Sciver, I don't know, Art T Bear. There's so many others, Sweet Tooth. I can't mention them all. But one of the things is that this is an indication that those guys, us, the Comicsgate, lack of a better term, because I don't even know if I am or not, it doesn't really matter, but we're making a huge effect on the industry.
Truly turning the tide.
Absolutely, because Diamond Distribution has been the main focus for decades. And then because, it's just like the New York Times, where like you didn't really make yourself onto the top of the New York Times. You bought your way to the top of the New York Times type of a thing. You were the ones buying your own books so that you could get to the top. And then, of course, and that's a marketing, and that, whether you think that's ethical or not. But the problem is that the comic book store, if they were shipped the product, they would get stuck with all these copies. And then what? Or then the comic book store would get stuck with maybe product that was shipped and it was all trashed. It just got wrecked in the mail somehow. Who knows what it was? Well, Diamond said, sorry, that's your problem, comic book store. You have to eat that cost. And the comic book store is like, well, I can't sell that product. It's half torn apart. So it's sort of these things where like, and because of, in a lot of ways, because of COVID or whatever, it's produced it in a way where that it's taken the internet base to a whole new level of how do we support each other. And that's not only that, it's made this much harder, much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Just expanded, the internet based crowdfunding sort of platforms and those types of things. And I think Marvel and DC are really looking at the situation and really looking at it like, oh my gosh, all this money is leaving our bottom line. And that's why he's griping about it. That's why this Marvel writer's griping about it, because then that means they have less projects they can do and all that sort of stuff. Or that's why you see writers actually leaving these companies and doing what we're doing, which is really cool, because then we have an opportunity to leave the middleman behind, Diamond Distribution, and really connect with the comic book stores, really connect with those with the patrons out there. And that's what this is all about. And so I don't know what he's griping about or bullying. I don't really care, but it does indicate that Comicsgate, or I should say crowdfunding,
the new wave is coming.
Is absolutely is happening. So that's what this indication is to me.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's really good news. I've read this article. You guys are more than welcome to check it out and read all the tidbits and F-bombs and this sort of thing. Blah blah blah. And I guess the way I look at these sort of articles, or even just news in general, I tend to not, I'll read the article, and a lot of times I'll go to the source. I try my best to find the exact source of who said what, because obviously things can get misconstrued, or, or that type of thing, or context is
partial
taken,
quoted. Yeah.
All those types of things. But what's the bottom line to it? What's the big picture of where this is headed? And the big picture is the fact that, comic book, independently funded comic creators, we're in a really, really neat spot. And even though there's lots of arguments of the comic industry being absolutely destroyed right now, there's lots of like,
alternatives.
Alterna Comics, Altoona Comics. There's so many out there as far as that goes.
I think that's the cool thing. Sky's the limit. There's so many more options. People aren't held captive anymore as patrons, as fans. And I think honestly, with the comic book stores getting on board, I mean, you have a really successful, you have demand for a comic. Yeah, let your comic stores know. Yeah, let your local comic stores know. Because what you were saying is, trash shipments coming into the stores. You know, if they weren't insured, I mean, yeah, there's just all lost profit there. So great discussion on that. Oh, hey.
No, this is
R2D2 for Life is on it.
now TikvahComics is definitely one of those where I would highly recommend checking these guys out. I think they're really solid group. And I would encourage you guys to check out these. And he does print on a cheaper paper, but he's also selling it for, I think it's just like was it like under $1 per issue. So he's trying to solve the problems in terms of what's happened with the comic book stores and all those sort of things in really unique ways, and a different strategy to printing on the nicest paper and those types of things, but at the same time presenting quality stories that we all can escape from, but at the same time use because stories are at the basic core. Stories are never really about necessarily preaching, but encouraging us to do awesome things with our lives, or think about the impossibilities that we could do with our lives. I have no idea what this mouse thing is about, but that's where like your Bone or that sort of thing, with a comic book, a series of Bone, where it's just it's silly stuff, but it's saying it I don't know, stuff that makes us wonder and think about our existence and all those types of things.
Yeah, just get you outside of yourself.
Yeah.
You're so inspiring today.
I'm not sure about that.
No, I agree. I think that's our trifecta we're all looking for. We're looking for a quality story, number 1. Number 2, quality art. And then, number 3, quality product, as a keepsake, because it's such a good story and such good art. Yeah. And I think I'm excited to see how different artists, even collaborations, will be able to come out in the end. And what people figure out. I mean, creativity. You can't stop the signal. You can't stop the creativity.
No, yeah. And you look back over history too, kind of speaking to Kingsman here. But you look back to over history where like there were, when societies are going through incredibly difficult times. And I mean, you could argue that, okay, we haven't seen like the numbers as far as World War II deaths or those sort of things. But if you look at the pattern, we're certainly in that time frame where, even though it's just like one army's not facing another army, so to speak, it's very much information based. And as far as those types of things, in terms of where we sit now, as far as that, more of a digital warfare, I suppose, than necessarily like D-Day or Stalingrad or those types of things. But the reason why I bring that up is that I think it goes back to how during those really difficult times and times of history, we tend to, those moments really will bring out the worst in humanity, but at the same time will bring out the best in humanity. And you'll see the just these stark contrasts between the two. And that's where I think like stuff that we were talking about earlier, this kind of subject, is getting into this exact subject about how we are in a moment where, yes, things are hard, but how do I say this? I'm not articulating it all that well.
There's a quote, about the darkest part of the night is when the littlest light shines the brightest. And that's all we need, is just one spark.
Yeah.
Hey, and then R2D2 for Life said, "In quality creators."
Absolutely. And then, so that's where like I thought it was funny where that's where this idea was kind of going, where you kind of have these two opposites, because you have like Disney's producing Kingsman, and I remember like the first movie, we're watching Kingsman, you're like, there's like blood and guts and limbs flying all over, and uber violence and F-bombs and just all sorts of craziness. And it's just like, Disney, wait, I thought this is Disney. Or like conspiracy theorists getting into like signals and changing our people losing their signal and going haywire like zombies.
Be prepared. Be very prepared.
Disney. What does this mean? I don't even know. I haven't seen the trailer. I don't know if I want to, but I just thought it was funny how there's these opposites of Disney and Kingsman. It's just like, how much more? whatever. But the bigger point is that we have a really cool chance to shine that light and be that good example and to uplift others as best as we can. I don't know. We have our off days too. What's up?
Was this your moment? Deep thoughts with Elijah Loving.
Good God. What are you talking about?
I still think you automatically put it in that segment.
That wasn't a deep thought at all.
Deep ramblings by Elijah Loving.
And of course, well, I can't talk about I can't do this show actually. I think in every show I wonder if I go back in every episode I've mentioned Star Wars at least once.
At least.
So
or the other one.
It has to be. We have to talk about Star Wars again.
Oy.
So apparently this is all rumor.
Oh no.
Super rumor area. And of course, as a Star Wars fan, it's hard not to get into rumors. It's a part of your lifeblood. And that's what kind of has snowballed into all the other franchises following the same business model as a whole. Anyway, Kathleen Kennedy.
Oh, you're frenemy.
My frenemy. I've never met the lady. She's always smiling in all of her pictures. She seems like a swell lady.
So weird.
Anyway, I would recommend you guys checking out Doomcox. And he's a funny guy himself. He's kind of a goofball comedian, weird guy. And he's hidden his true identity if you haven't seen his videos. But he does a good job as far as he dives into rumors and those sort of things. And he's very much and I would certainly agree with him along the thoughts that, like Gina Carano, for example, she has her own opinions and ideas and she expressed them freely and openly. And she ends up getting fired from Disney and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, that was low.
And I certainly agree that like Disney should at least, I would say a minimum say, yeah, we're sorry. Just a quick sorry. We screwed up. Anything, but I doubt that would ever happen.
No.
In any form whatsoever. Their sorry will be instead of a $5 million check or whatever she got for these last couple shows, that it should be 3 times that amount. 15.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, that's how they'll say they're sorry. But that's I have no idea.
I doubt it. Equity would be nice.
But it would be more uplifting and Disney-like, should I say? Or actually, Hallmark has actually taken over that throne. Really, of what Disney shows used to be when I was a kid.
Hallmark's amazing. I am pleasantly surprised, but not surprised.
Oh man!
Movie form of the greeting card.
Oh yeah,
warms your heart.
Oh yeah. Well, and certainly, we'll see what happens. I don't know. The rumor is that she's coming back, and who knows? It doesn't. I would check out Doomcock's stuff. He does a pretty good job, and it's interesting and enlightening and funny and weird, and that's good. We need all these things in this day and age, right? But the rumor has it is that she's coming back. I don't know. We'll see. If these two characters right here, Jon Favreau and I forgot his name right now, Dave Filoni here and Jon Favreau. If they keep doing what they're doing with Star Wars and what they did with Luke, that was
awesome.
As soon as that X-wing flew up, I was like, "That's Luke Skywalker." And who is in our family. And I think my mom was there, and we're all watching it. And I was like, "That's Luke Skywalker." I was like, "What? No, that's not Luke Skywalker." I'm like, "That's freaking Luke Skywalker. It has to be." And of course, there we have it. So But that
You
was
called
really,
it.
really, really, really cool. That
Spoiler
was
alert by you. Horrible.
yeah. I don't know. I wasn't looking on any sort of things, or the rumor
Just
mills
do
or that
it.
sort of thing. I'm the Sherlock Holmes of comic books, I guess. I don't know.
Just stories in
Maybe I
general.
should have been a detective in my previous life. Maybe I was.
I think you were. I don't. But to go back to the two being involved. Yeah, I'm big time Favreau fan, and what he's been.
Oh,
That was an awesome moment.
oh yeah. Yeah. So this is just the rumor mill, obviously, and John Favreau is like, yeah, I love Kathleen Kennedy. This is what they do. I don't know. This is part of the part that, like, when someone's just at work, I can't imagine going to work and then day after day you're getting backstabbed, and then you turn around and then you don't, I don't know, whatever. They're being good.
Comicsgate.
Smear out Hollis Shown. I don't know. They're guarding their tongue. I have no idea. I just
Hashtag Comicsgate. Well, I think that's why Comicsgate is happening, though.
you got it. Yep, you got it.
It's time. It's time. There always comes a time. There always comes a point where groups become top heavy, and then that tree just falls over. I mean, if you don't have a base, if you don't have a fan base or group, it's going to happen. It's inevitable. No one's too big to fail unless they get government bailouts. Is my humble opinion.
Absolutely, for sure. So yeah, that's why I think that I think in my opinion, and I have no reason to base this off of anything other than a gut instinct, I think she's gone. I think, but it's quite possible she could be around for another lambasting. But I think it's one of these things, like, it's such a hard subject because we have, like, our heartstrings tied to these stories. I mean, like, I remember, like, grabbing a piece of crappy rope and throwing on a baseball hat and pretending it's Indiana Jones' hat, and you're running around jumping off balconies and all this sort of stuff, and just Temple of Doom and all this. So it's hard to detach those ideas, but then at the same time we get, and it's such a hard subject because we love these characters, we love what they represent, and of course, Harrison Ford crashing his airplane on a golf course. It's just like, okay, that's Han Solo, Harrison Ford. It makes sense. He's Indiana Jones, whatever. He can crash anywhere he wants,
and they survived.
But
I don't. Yeah.
Go on.
Oh, well, I was going to say, until we unfortunately had a plane wreck of the same size plane as Harrison Ford out here at our airport locally.
yeah.
And I didn't realize how amazing that was, that Harrison Ford was able to touch his plane down. Nobody injured. He did it on a golf course. I mean, until, you witness an actual crash like that, that's actually what happens a lot more. What a miracle that was. Okay. Yeah, we got Han Solo. Now in the live comments over here, though, we got to get props to R2D2. I mean, you want to talk about that cameo a little bit?
Oh yeah, no, like, yeah, it's gonna back up there. Oh yeah, Star Wars ended at Episode 6. Couldn't agree more. I liked Rogue One. Yeah, with the allowance. Yeah, Rogue One, I thought it was good. I thought that was because it told the human story. It just told. I mean, you were conflicted about the light side and the dark side and all this sort of stuff, and that was cool. And then certainly the Mandalorian's doing quite well. So I couldn't agree more with that. In the Clone Wars, in that too. Yep.
Yeah. I think the Mandalorian, even with some sketch decisions on the cast, it's the story. It's the story. It's going to keep going, and I think that's the point.
Yeah. So I'm optimistic that she's gone. I'm you know what? I hope the best for her. I hope she has a excellent life, but I do think that for the best of the story and those types of things, and I do, I think Ray could have been, and when we first watched the what was it, the first episode 7, I guess, I was very optimistic about it. I thought it was absolutely had a lot of fun with it. But then as you watch it and you watch it again, you're like, man, something's missing here, and you're looking at other pieces, like, what is happening? And it's just and that was really, in a lot of ways, and around that same time, Game of Thrones was finishing up too, and it was just these characters could do no wrong whatsoever, and then you have stories that just seem to end and make no
Awkward
sense, and
endings.
you're like, wait, what? Or like she takes her lightsaber and she puts it behind her back like a this is a trick you do with a kid. You put it behind your back and like you drop it in the other hand, then you shift a hand and it somehow goes to I don't know. I don't know what happened in that last episode. Was it episode 9? So I have not a clue. I don't even know what movie, or that was a different universe, the multiverse, I guess. Maybe they'll be able to go down that route. It would be cool if Jon Favreau was able to get promoted as president, or something to the effect of that, or maybe she ends up being the president. But you know what, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, you have full ability to do whatever you want to do with Star Wars, to help repair that base. And she just kind of, flies out, goes out into the sunset, never to be seen again. Who knows? But I hope she has the best of her life, but just stop peeing on my lawn, I guess.
Sound like an old man. Black socks and your little tennis shoes.
Crocs.
Oh, yeah.
Rain Crocs. Let's see what else we got here. I don't know if I want to cover some of this other bleeding in the comics. Oh, geez, I don't even know if I can handle this one.
Well, okay. I was going to say, how do you feel about all of these rewrites? Where's the original stories?
I don't have a problem with rewrites. I don't have a problem with where these. There's just another generation.
I don't think there's too much recycling going on.
It can be. I think going back to. I think it's important to go back to our base as far as where our because all stories, like throughout history, all stories have some sort of background or some sort of parallel on how they're tied together.
Yeah,
and they all follow a similar sort of hero's journey pattern. All stories do that. So there, at one side of it, all stories have been rehashed.
That's true.
So that's from that perspective. At the same time, could it be where like we take these characters and we want them to be, to be more preachy or woke or those type of things, then make your own new characters. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But like establish characters and who they are and who we know them to be, like Luke Skywalker drinking that green milk and that sort of stuff, or throwing his dad's lightsaber over his shoulder. It's just like, that makes absolutely no sense. That's not the character of who he stood. I mean, if that whatever happened to him between episode 6 and episode, I guess episode, what number was that? 7 or 8. It was just like, oh my gosh, this guy must have had. I can't just. I don't know. It just, how do you go from being that good to being that you have gone to the dark side at that point? I don't know. But I think remaining true to the character's created identity. And if you want to create your own stuff, create your own stuff. I don't care. That's fine. Do your own thing. If you want to be whatever you want to present yourself as, then do it. Fine. Under any race, color, creed you want to do it as, cool. Have fun with it. Make money. Do it well. I don't. That doesn't necessarily matter to me. But I think more than anything, that's part of like why we're going through some of these things, is that there's any of the mainstream stuff is constantly preaching division in one form or another. constant. It's just like, oh, please stop. And so that's why we're seeing like when this, I didn't bring it up, right? Had it up there for a second, but like the Mighty Python, John Cleese, where it's just this constant where you can't say certain things, otherwise you're going to get deplatformed or this, that, and the other. And it's just like we've lost our ability, first and foremost, to, I don't know, just to have fun and not take ourselves too seriously.
I think that's the whole point. Yeah.
I mean, we're like, how we can't even imagine how small Earth is, let alone our own 6 foot, 4 foot, however tall we are size compared to the massiveness of the universe. We can't, like, it just blows my mind, because the ocean of that is out there of stars is just, we just have no idea. And so I don't know. Whatever.
I think that's great. I think that's a good point. So, okay. So the article you're talking about is John Cleese to make documentary on cancel culture. That project, is that what you're going to talk about?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Let me show that real quick. My whole thing about it is just that I'm really kind of interested in it in terms of this documentary. This sounds really enlightening, and I don't know if he's going to be, one way or the other. I don't know. As I've gotten older, I think I've liked documentaries a little bit more. Not to say that documentaries still follow a script. They all, no matter what movie, you're still following a script. You're still telling a story. It's still going to be that hero's journey in one form or another. But I'm curious to what will he'll end up presenting, and it might be softball. It might not. It might be, and I shouldn't say softball. My kid plays softball and she does it quite well. But
that's fast pitch, totally different.
That's fast pitch. Maybe I don't know. It just, what's a better way of saying it? It's just, come on. We're throwing patty cakes at each other, and it's just like, let's
get real. Let's be honest.
Absolutely. And because of that, I mean, like the meaning of life, or you have Life of Brian or Mighty Python, all these shows. I mean, or like The Gods Must Be Crazy. I think I talked about that one on Monday. We're just these shows that were just incredibly hilarious, but they were
irreverent.
Like the meaning of life is just, it's absolutely just a absolute romp. I mean, my favorite scene with it is the fat guy. Of course it's disgusting, and you feel like Ralphing yourself, but it brings out the fact that we are beyond imperfect, and it's important that we remember that. And I think that's the key. I don't know. Those are my 2 cents on it. I don't know if that's worthwhile.
Comedy, comedians, court jesters, so valuable.
Well. So, I think that's it. I think that's all I have for today. Be on the lookout. So we'll keep doing these Monday and Thursday shows. Monday at 10 a.m. and then we'll do our Thursday 4 o'clock time.
Central. Central US.
Yeah. Central US. I don't know. What are we? Our daylight now?
I don't know. We need to quit changing.
I can't agree more.
Right, your senator.
But we fall back. So that's falling back is coming up in November. That's a few months away. I look forward to it. We get to sleep in an hour, but we'll have that. And I lost my train of thought. What are we doing? Oh, so our schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Thursdays at 4. We'll keep doing those, and we'll be much more consistent with that. So there's that. We'll also be posting these on our blog at elijahloving.com/blog. You can check all of these out there as well. Also, the latest show will remain on our front page, is usually what we end up doing at elijahloving.com. So check that out and share and all those sort of good things. We do appreciate the like buttons and all those sort of things, but first and foremost, find ways to directly support one another. That's what I'm very much all about 100% of the time. So support one another as best as we possibly humanly can. In the next week or so, I hope to pass you guys out some more information in regards to the comic book getting printed. If you didn't help out with the crowdfund, no big deal. We're going to be posting that up on our store at some point in time, so that will be good. And also for those that did, we'll be sending you an email of how to change your home address so we can ship you the book to your correct home if you need to, if you did change your home address from when you jumped on the crowdfund. I think that's it. And you guys are absolutely awesome. We certainly couldn't do this without you. We appreciate each and every one of you. And yeah, that's all I got. You guys are so awesome. Appreciate you. And thank you to our lovely host for co-host, I should say, for helping us work through and talk and yak through this sort of stuff. So no, I really appreciate that too. So yeah.
I don't mind. I get to laugh at you on air. It's great. Thanks, guys. Nice to meet you.
All right. We'll see you guys. Bye.